Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate your patience while we proceeded to work through a couple of technological issues that we were having. It appears we are ready to go. So, um, if the members can, reassemble, we'll be able to start.
Okay. Good afternoon. It's close to evening, but we're still afternoon. During the declared emergency, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make the presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The committee considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions will be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff on the items in the 3 o'clock time slot? No declarations of interest. No deferral requests we know of? Okay. Let us proceed with number 30. 55 Roseneath Gardens. Purpose of the application is to maintain the existing rear platform.
Through you, Mr. Chair, on file we have a copy of the survey, a copy of the plans, decision number B67/14 EYK, A648/14 EYK, and A649/14 EYK affecting the subject property, as well as OMB order PL 150711 also affecting the subject property. Also on file, we have a forestry consolidated memo, 4 letters of support from 45, 55, 57, and 59 Roseneath, as well as some photos of the deck submitted by the applicant.
Ms. Evangelista, are you here?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Ida Evangelista of 53 Bentworth Avenue, present on behalf of the owners Eli and Ricky at 55 Roseneath.
Okay, I'm just going to, I don't think we need a presentation. Panel, do we need a presentation? Do you have any questions? Okay, Ms. Evangelista, why is this platform so large?
Through Mr. Chair, the new homeowners have requested a slightly larger deck than what was originally presented in its plans. We are asking for an additional 8 square meters. It's just an area, small area off of the kitchen, just to provide, you know, a couple of 2 chairs of seating. And we are not infringing in any other variances, as you see, in relation to our rear yard landscaping. It also provides protection to the walkout below from the elements. And as you see, Mr. Chair, we do have support from the neighbors on either side. And we also, I did speak to Mr. Coonan behind us, and he is perfectly okay with what we are presenting.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, panel? Or, all right. Yes, Donald?
As I see, this rear platform is existing.
That is, through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct, sir.
And what brings you here? Was it in order to comply, or?
No, the deck was always there, and from what I understand, and I've just joined the team, is that we just wanted to just make sure that all matters relating to this deck complied with the OBC.
Thank you.
All right, Yim?
Yes, because one of the letter of concern has mentioned that privacy screen. I noticed in one of the photographs that there are already some solid screens on both sides. It's only the middle is glass. It's already in place, the privacy screen, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. There is a privacy screen on both sides, and that's why we did approach the neighbors on either side, and they actually quite like the privacy screen that exists. And we have accommodated in what we're doing at the back just to provide some additional privacy. We are going to be planting some cedars. which the neighbors behind are actually, if you see there's an email from the neighbor behind dated May 10th. He says, perfect, I am happy with the solution.
Okay. All right. Do we have comments or do we have a motion, panel? Yim?
Yeah, I can move a motion for approval with forestry condition number 1 and 3.
Do we have a seconder? Peter, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a nice day.
Right, you too. Number 31, 931 Manning Avenue. And the purpose of this application is to construct a new two-story detached dwelling with a side integral garage having access from the lane. Adam?
Yep. Through you, Mr. Chair, on file we have the copy of the survey, a copy of the plans, decision number A712/08 TEY affecting the subject property, as well as a covering letter, a copy of the applicant's presentation, a report from planning staff dated May 3rd with conditions should the committee choose to approve the application, a letter of support from 929 Manning Avenue, as well as a letter of opposition from 62 Vermont Avenue.
Okay. Mr. Butcher?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm a planner and associate with Bousfields, and we're the planning consultants to the owner. And I'm happy to walk you through the proposal or go into questions the committee may have this afternoon. I'm in your hands.
All right, so can we have a quick walkthrough?
Yep, so if I can just ask before I get started, the presentation that I provided just to get pulled up on the screen. Perfect. And then proceed to the next page. So as you can see, this is a corner lot, and if you can proceed to the next page there. The property is presently developed with 2 abutting buildings, an existing 2-story brick building that's occupied by a retail store and interior design studio, and then an easterly 1-story cinder block building that was previously occupied by commercial uses, but is presently being used as a live-work studio. And I would point out that neither of the buildings are listed or designated on the city's heritage register, but the owner does intend to retain the brick facades to maintain some of that existing character. And if you proceed to the next slide, you'll see that the existing building does occupy most of the property with 0 yard setbacks and a 92% coverage. So if you can proceed to page 6, and I'll take you just quickly through the proposal. So the application before you seeks 4 variances to permit a new 2-story detached dwelling, including a rear garage that will back onto the rear lane. Next page. And on next slide, yeah, perfect. And it is proposed to retain and renovate the existing brick facades that front onto Manning and DuPont and demolish the 1-story cinder block building, replacing it with a new 2-story addition to accommodate a garage as well as additional living space. And the 2 buildings will be connected by an enclosed 1-story walkway that will be covered by a green roof. Next page. And a courtyard is proposed to be inserted in the middle of the property, breaking up the 2 massings of the massing of the 2 buildings, and it will introduce outdoor amenity space on the site, or outdoor space where none currently exists, while also allowing for greater sunlight penetration into the adjacent property's rear yard to the immediate south. And the result will be a smaller building compared to what exists today, with reduced lot coverage, reduced density, and increased landscaping. Next page. And so the proposal is for 4 variances being sought that either maintain or improve existing built form conditions and specifically relate to yard setbacks and density. So this is just a 3D site plan. You can see the courtyard and you can also see the green roof. And then if you move on to page 11, So as they read on the notice, variance 1 is requesting an FSI of 1.37, whereas 1 is permitted. However, the proposal actually represents a reduction in density compared to what exists today of 1.42 FSI. If you move on to the next page there, second variance is for the front yard setback of 0 meters, whereas 6 is required. In this case, the building department has identified DuPont as the front yard, and at 6 meters, the front yard will maintain the existing front yard condition in order to maintain that existing brick facade along DuPont. And finally, from a practical standpoint, at 6 meters, a 6 meter setback could not practically be provided given that the north-south depth of the lot is only 7.6 meters wide. So that would only leave 1.6 meters to accommodate a building, which would practically be impossible. Next slide. So similarly, the third variance requests a rear yard setback of 0 meters, whereas 7.5 is required. And again, due to the identification of DuPont as the front lot line, the opposite or the rear lot line is to the south. And it is proposed again to maintain an existing 0 meter yard setback from the south lot line. And similarly, with a lot depth of a 7.5 meter yard setback could not be accommodated given the north-south depth of the lot, as it would leave just 10 centimeters for a building. And then the final variance, the side yard setbacks. So we're proposing a 0.67 east side yard setback from the lane and a 0 meter west side yard setback, whereas 0.9 meters is required. So in this case, it is proposed to increase the easterly side yard setback from the existing 0 meters to the 0.67. That improves the existing condition, and it will also accommodate enough space to provide a 2.5 meter separation distance from the center line of the adjacent laneway, which is half of the desired 5 meter laneway width that the city typically seeks for future laneway widenings. And then for the westerly side yard setback along Manning, it's again maintaining the existing 0 meter yard setback to maintain that existing brick facade that fronts onto Manning. So in closing, our owners have engaged with their neighbors. They've dropped off letters to the area residents on the street, and then there's only one immediate abutting residential property to the south, and they've supplied a letter in support. We have reviewed planning staff report. We agree with those conditions, and so for all the reasons I have cited today, it's my opinion that the requested variances satisfy the 4 tests set out in section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and I would respectfully recommend that the request that the committee approve this application, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So, Mr. Butcher, you're going to lose the retail store. It's all residential?
Yes, and it is in a residential zone. It's in an R zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife told me a long time ago, people are buying houses on busy streets now where they didn't before.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Panel, you have any further questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Butcher. Do we have any comments, or do we have a motion?
I'll start off. I think this is pretty straightforward, and I think it's a nice project. That's a net improvement over what's there. And in terms of green space and infiltration, I think that's positive. I really can't see any negative impacts of this, so I'm going to move approval of the application subject to the 2 conditions in the May 3rd planning letter regarding the green roof and courtyard space.
We have a seconder, Mishi? Yes, thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 32, 100 and 102 Harvard Street. And the purpose of this application is to convert the basement of the existing commercial building into commercial space.
Through you, Mr. Chair, on file we have a copy of the survey as well as a copy of the plans, and that's it.
That's it? Okay, Mr. Pirozzi?
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Can we have your name and your address, please?
Yeah, my name is Carlo Pierozzi of 467 Spears Avenue Road, rather, in Oakville.
So, Mr. Pirozzi, I don't believe we need a presentation. I'm going to take it into committee. But before I do you have anything you want to say to the panel?
I think the application is pretty reasonable, beneficial to the area, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Panel, do you have any further questions or comments, or do we have a motion? Mitzi?
I'll move to approve. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll move to approve. Consider this to be minor in nature, meets the 4 tests, and I don't believe there's any conditions. No.
I don't think so. Okay, do we have a seconder? Yes, Peter. Okay, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Number 33, 115 DEWBOURNE Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Mr. Shakiri?
Sorry.
Sure. Yes, sir. Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Panel, do we need a presentation on this matter? Panel? No presentation? Okay. Mr. Shakiri, before I take it into committee, do you have anything you want to say to the committee before we vote on this?
No comments from my side, Mr. Chair, but happy to answer any question.
Thank you. Quit while you're ahead. It's a good idea. Okay, panel, do we have any comments, or do we have a motion? Donald?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I find the variances to be in keeping with the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move for approval without conditions.
All right, seconder? Peter, thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 34, 287 Indian Grove. And the purpose of this application is to construct a new detached dwelling with front and rear second-story balconies, a rear third-story balcony, and a rear deck. The existing garage will remain.
Through you, Mr. Chair, on file we have a copy of the survey as well as the plans. We have a forestry memo dated May 5th. We also have a copy of the annotated plans, which is part of the applicant's presentation, as well as a letter of opposition from 287 Indian Grove.
Nobody registered in opposition?
Just the applicant.
Okay. Gianni Regina?
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm not opposing more than I was submitting a document to respond to the actual letter of opposition that was from 258B.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Johnny Regina.
Yeah.
38 Salvapiano.
You're the applicant, right?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
All right. But there's nobody registered in opposition, so we'll just proceed with the application. Yeah, panel, do we need a presentation on this matter? Also straightforward. Yim? We can't hear you, Yim. You're muted.
I'm still getting used to this. Okay. There's some discrepancy in terms of the side setback. I think that they have a revised drawing, a site plan that have tried to correct the side setback. Because there's a revised drawing, right?
Mr. Chair, through you,
Yes.
there is no revised drawing. All I've done is I've indicated through the document that the 0.7 meter setback is at a second floor cantilever area, not at the foundation. I've actually, the original setback of the house was 0.98. And we've actually set back 1.7. So this particular wall running on the south side, that's actually further back from the set line than is originally there today. The 0.7 only reflects the second floor cantilever, which is the box window on the second floor bedroom.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I understand that after this explanation is really good because I also calculated it and I think your neighbors, I do not think they understood. They think that your setback is only 0.7 meter. And that's good. But my question also is on the north setback, you only have 0.5. I just wonder why it will not trigger a variance.
Well, that's the existing, Mr. Chair, through you, that is an existing building line where it is today. We wanted to match that because we didn't want to infringe on the neighboring property and their driveway is a little set a little higher. So we didn't want to undermine anything that was existing. We did want to have an option of being able to drive between the two buildings, which is being currently done right now by 285B. So by adding a little bit more width, that's why we only asking for the variance on the second floor because we needed it to create the bedroom that we needed for the house in terms of the scale of the house and what's required in today's living standards.
But no, my question is not on that south lot line. My question is this north lot line. If you zoom in, yes, there. The setback is only 0.5 meter. I'm just curious why it will not trigger a side yard setback when it's required 0.9. Is it?
Mr. Chair, through you, I cannot answer that. We did a zoning review, and based on the zoning review, this is what we're presenting. I hope it doesn't create an issue now that you're bringing it up.
I don't know. I'm just curious. That's why I asked the question. And because on the site plan, it indicates only 0.5 meter, 0.5 meter. And you can see from the drawing, there's a lot closer to your property line than the southern setback.
Mr. Chair, if I don't want to create any complications or any issues at a time for permit if this application gets approved. Is there any way that anything can be written in the approval to state and capture the north wall of 0.5?
No, apparently not.
So if the municipality zoning review is incorrect, does that mean I have to come back at time of building permit?
Well, yes, if something's incorrect. Do you agree that it is incorrect?
I don't agree or disagree. My point is I paid for a zoning review where it should have been captured, and it's been brought up. So my point is that we paid for the expertise of a proper zoning review, and it should have been captured if it is. So I'm not a planner or I know the zoning within the municipality, but I'm not an expert to identify that if it is or not. I'm just bringing it up to the point that I don't want to come back if they misinterpret the bylaw or whether there was an incorrect issue with that point.
Well, Yim.
I just want to make a comment. I don't want to cause trouble either. It's only an observation. I could be totally wrong.
I actually appreciate you bringing that up, to be totally honest with you. I just assumed because the zoning review didn't pick it up that it was not an issue.
Well, Yim was curious. She's not saying it is an issue or it isn't an issue, are you, Yim?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I agree. That's what my intention. An observation. If the side yard setback standard is 0.9 and then that seems to be 0.5, I don't know why one side is only required to have 0.9, and the other one is okay.
There's,
There's
Mr.
a
Chair,
lot
through
of
you, there's a
times-
part of the bylaw that reads that you're allowed 0.45 meters
Yes,
on
exactly,
one
yeah,
side without a window, and there are no windows on that side.
yeah, yeah, it could
The
be.
other side allows for 0.9.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
It's only observation. If that's the case, I'm quite happy. I mean, this is only just a curiosity.
Mr. Chair, through you, so that 0.45 meters is met by that 0.5 because there are no windows, according to the bylaw, and it's
Okay,
permissible.
so we resolved that problem. All right, so panel, are there any other questions, or can we move into committee? No further questions. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, could not hear.
This keeps going off. Yeah. Do we have any further comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Donald?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll move approval on the grounds that I believe the requested variances meet the 4 tests. And my approval motion would include urban forestry condition number 3.
Okay, a seconder. Mishi, thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Number 35, 82 McDonell Avenue. And the purpose of this application is to construct a 3rd-story rear addition with a rooftop deck.
Through you, Mr. Chair, on file, we have a copy of the survey and plans, as well as 4 letters of support from 77, 80, and 84 McDonell Avenue, as well as 81 Fuller.
All right, thank you. Ms. Buckland?
Yes, hello, I'm here. I'm Jennifer Buckland, and I'm the agent for 82 MacDonell Avenue. I live at 16 Neepawa Avenue, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, so panel, do we need a presentation on this matter? Looks straightforward. Okay. Ms. Buckland, before we go into committee, do you have anything you want to say to the panel?
No, I think that's fine. I don't want to take up your time. It's been a long afternoon, so.
Thank you. Okay, any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes.
I'm happy to move a motion. I think this is very straightforward. It's staying within the existing footprint and just adding a small extension on the 3rd floor. It has support of the both immediate neighbors and is minor in nature. And I think it satisfies the 4 tests easily. So I move for approval with no conditions.
I thought there was a F3 from forestry.
Oh, is there? I didn't see that.
I think so.
The previous one had urban forestry 3.
No, yeah,
Oh.
there's no forestry.
Okay, no forestry. Oh.
No.
Yeah, you're right. It's the previous one. I was looking at the previous one. Okay. Thank you. Seconder for the motion. Donald, thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Miss, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Number 36, 42 Warren Crescent. Purpose of this application is to construct a front porch, a rear 2-story addition, and a 2nd and 3rd-story addition above the existing dwelling. Mr. Romano.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. So can we have your, just your name and your address for the record, and then you can give us a brief presentation, please?
Certainly, Franco Romano, Action Planning Consultants, 2095 Autumn Breeze, Port Credit, Mississauga. So this is an application that involves building additions, and there are 2 revisions to the variances, and they're reflected in the revised plans, and they are consistent with the planning staff recommendation. The first variance change is that the main wall height be a maximum of 10 meters. And the third story rear platform will be a maximum of 10 square meters.
So that's
So
variance number 4 and number 7, is that correct?
Correct, yes. So in all other respects, we're in agreement with the staff recommendation regarding the 2 conditions of approval. In terms of that third story platform, there is on the revised plans a privacy screen that's indicated. And so that would be tied to, in accordance with the recommendation to tie it in accordance with the plans. So I'd like to look at my presentation slide. So I think there's a few items here that need some clarification just in terms of some of what the correspondence on file has identified. This is a building addition. It's actually a 7.62 meter wide lot in an area that's zoned for a minimum of 12 meters wide. It's a multiple residential zoning, and the side yard setbacks that are identified in the notice, as well as the front yard setback, are all existing conditions. So the front porch is being built over top of where the existing front porch is. The 2-story addition over top of the existing 1-story reflects the side yard setbacks for only the first story. The second story and the third story are set back even further from the side lot lines. And what we see on the east side elevation, just as an example on this presentation slide, is that behind the existing first story, which has that side yard setback of 0.21, it is 1.57 meters to the second story and a little bit more to the third story. It's almost 5 meters to the side yard setback near the front of the third story. And you see on the left-hand side of this side elevation, where in blue text, I identify the gross floor area. First floor is 88.55 square meters, second floor is 81.42 square meters, and the third floor is 53.81 square meters. So it tapers in as it goes up. And that is to be sensitive in order to minimize impacts, overlook privacy, etc. on the neighboring properties. So it reflects a reuse, recycle, reduce sort of form of development, because you're building on top of the existing foundation, but then also having setbacks as one moves up that move further away from all lot lines. The rear landscape variance is consistent with where this property is located, with rear yard garages and rear yard parking areas. So it's not much different than what is there today. It's about 40% today, and the proposal is at 30% rear yard landscaping. The gross floor area, 0.88, very much in keeping with buildings that are either 2 stories or 2.5 and 3 stories on the street and in the neighborhood. Even a 2-story top up to this existing 1-story building would be over the 0.6. So I do have some photographs here just to show some of the 3 stories that have occurred both within the last couple of decades as well as more recent construction. So when we look at the wall height, even though the 10 meters is identified up to the top of the 3rd floor, that's still less than the 11 meters that's permitted under the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw allows 3 stories. And you see that the 2nd story portion is less than the permitted 8.5 meters. It's at 6.8 meters. So it is a tiered modern style. It's clearly a modern style, but it is tiered. It's not a box or a straight cube. So it reflects some sensitivity to its surroundings. So subject to any questions, sir, I submit that the revised variances satisfy all 4 tests for a minor variance.
Thank you, sir. Panel, do you have
You're
any
welcome.
questions? No questions. Okay.
I think there is one here, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I think there is a question.
Yeah. Donald?
Yes, this is just for my own curiosity. Mr. Romano, is this property, I always thought, is this Warren Park on the east side of the Humber River?
Warren Crescent.
Yeah, but is it in what they call the Warren Park area on the east side of the Humber River?
Yes.
It is?
Yep.
So that presumably was formerly City of Toronto? I
Yes,
always
sir.
thought it was you. Okay, I always thought it was York.
Actually, Warren Crescent is in former York. Yeah, former York. It is a bit of an odd boundary in this location.
Okay. So just, Mr. Chair, how does this application end up at a Toronto East York hearing? I thought it would have belonged with Etobicoke York. No?
Well, Donald, I do what I'm told, and I deal with what I'm given. So, I don't know.
And me too.
Pardon?
I'm not gonna make a big issue. It's just
Yeah.
historical curiosity.
Oh. And in addition, they've been moving things around a little bit. Things are moving around.
Okay.
Miss Duty?
Well, I'm prepared to demonstrate my lack of concern about this by making a motion.
No, we're not ready. We're not
Oh,
ready
I'm
for
sorry.
a motion.
Okay.
We have somebody in opposition.
Yes. I am sorry.
All right, Miss Duty?
Hi, this is Loretta Duty. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard that the second story and third story recedes a bit. And also, I called the zoning examiner's office, and he did say it's definitely supposed to be City of York. So if this isn't the right forum, he should have to present it in the right forum. It would also give me more time because
Well, we're
I
in the
have
right.
two.
Miss Duty?
Sorry?
Miss
Yep.
Duty, it doesn't work that way exactly. We've confirmed that we're in the right forum.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So the zoning examiner, as well as some construction friends of mine, because I haven't had a lot of time to prepare because I have 2 jobs and a sick brother. So when I opened this a week ago, I didn't have a lot of time to get on this and try to understand everything going on. But what I do understand is that a dwelling, the new zoning laws is a dwelling is supposed to be 1.2 meters away from the property line. And I'm understanding that the east side, which is where I am, I'm 40 Warren Crescent. So I own the driveway that I'm supposed to give him right of way for about 75 feet. And because of past behavior the last year and a half, which I wrote out in the email, I don't have to say it out loud if you've all read it already. I'm concerned about all the construction. I wanted to give you an example. I've been here since 2:30 listening in, and there was this lovely gentleman who was talking about his second story addition and how it was going to be put on with a crane and how all the neighbors were on board. And what I'm trying to say is he already talked to all his neighbors. They had nothing to worry about. They knew how everything was going to proceed. Another example would be my neighbor across the street. He would not even.
Miss Duty,
Yep.
we only have a mandate to deal with the variances. We can't deal with your neighbor's behavior or construction
Okay,
issues.
but
so if
well,
you have
the thing
any
is-
problems with the variances, let's hear what impact it might have.
I do. I want him to build 1.2 meters away from the property line. And also the zoning examiner said that actually, because I own the driveway, when he starts construction, he is not allowed to obstruct my driveway in any way, shape, or form. And the other thing is the right of way of the driveway is only about 75 feet. And I think you read what happened. Like, I've lived here since 2002. There hasn't been any neighbor or any rental people who have ever actually used their car to drive through these 2 houses. They're too close together. This owner was the first one to do that, and it's caused a lot of problems. And once he builds, because he is extending this patio private screen thing, he will have a lot of trouble trying to get into his driveway and more trouble getting out.
Miss
Yep.
Duty, yeah, we just
Yep.
need to know the impact. We don't need to know your neighbor's conduct.
I understand, but because I haven't had time to get on board with a lawyer or anything,
I know, but we can't
I
help
asked
you
for
out
help
with
from the
those things.
Committee of Adjustment office like several times. So I would know what to deal with should unusual things start happening.
Yeah, well, you can call the city, you can call 311 and register a complaint, but we're dealing with variances today. So do you have any comments on how this might
Okay,
adversely affect you?
so basically, I don't want him to get to keep that wall that faces my house. I want it to go back to 1.2 meters. And the other huge problem I have is that's the side that he put all the windows. I only have 2 little windows. It's a 1.5 story. So one little tiny window in my kitchen and one little tiny window above, which at the moment he can't see in. I mean, it faces my son's bedroom and my bedroom. I do not want to lose the tiny little bit of privacy I have. I don't want him to be able to build any windows that can see in my house in any way, shape, or form.
Right, okay.
And I think that's incredibly fair, an incredibly fair request.
All right. Panel, do you have any questions of Ms. Duty? Okay, thank you. Mr. Romano, do you have some comments?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Actually, one of the items in terms of the existing side yard at grade level, there's a chimney that projects from the side wall of the existing dwelling that is to be removed, which will enhance the access along that side. Otherwise, that side yard for the existing dwelling exists and is not being altered. The rear addition, as I mentioned before, is going to be about 1.6 meters and larger from the side yard adjacent to Miss Ludi. So that is more than the 1.2 meters that she would like to see. In terms of the fenestration on that east side, the fenestration is basically to the it's beyond 1.2 meters. So the back addition, it's about 1.6 meters, and it's basically to the entrance of the bedroom at the back. And along the side, it is, and this is only at the second floor level, it is to the entrance of the bedroom and into the foyer. So it's to allow some light. And again, those windows would not be permitted if they were not minimum 1.2 meters from the side lot line. So those are the only windows. There is no overlook that would result from those access points, as well as the bedroom entrance. And in terms of construction, there's no intent, and certainly I'll state it on the record that there is no intent to obstruct the right of way, either on a day-to-day basis or certainly for construction. And construction for this dwelling, it's wood frame construction, so there's not going to be any cranes or anything involved. It's just going to be people walking and putting up lumber and hammering away. So it's pretty simple construction. So subject to any questions, sir?
All right. Panel, do you have any questions? All right, thank you. All right, so do we have any comments or do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead with the motion. I think this is a reasonable application, and I think the fact that it does make an effort to step back at each additional floor makes a difference in terms of overlook and shadow. So I think it's a sizable list of requests, but of variances, but a large portion of them are reflecting existing conditions. So I move to approve the application subject to the planning condition in the May 3rd letter.
Do we have a seconder? Yes, Donald. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Enjoy your evening.
Item number 37. 357 King Street West. Purpose of the application is to construct a new 42-story mixed-use building. Adam?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, on this application, we have the survey plans, a cover letter submitted by the applicant, site-specific bylaw 812-2017. We have a planning email from February 23rd, 2021, as well as a planning report from May 3rd, 2021, which has a condition should the committee approve the application.
All right, thank you. Mr. Huen?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Could you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is David Hun. I'm a planner and partner at Bellsfields Inc. Our address is 3 Church Street, and we are the planning consultants and authorized agent for the owners of the property.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we need a presentation. This seems pretty straightforward. I just want to confirm a couple of things and ask you one question.
Sure.
You're moving things from commercial or retail to residential? That's why you're
That's
getting
correct.
an increase. Yeah. What does 2 dwelling rooms mean?
2 dwelling rooms is relating to the guest suites in the building
Okay.
that
that's what I-
don't have the proper kitchen and bathroom facilities, so they're not considered to be dwelling units. They're considered to be dwelling rooms.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought they were, but I never seen that expression before. All right, panel, do you have any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, you have asked my question. I had the same question about dwelling rooms. I've never seen that before.
Ah. Yes, Peter.
Just a quick question to confirm the applicant that you've seen the planning condition of the $120,000 and that's fine?
I have, and yes, the owners are amenable to that condition, so we are fine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any, yes, Yim?
So if there aren't any questions, I'd like to move for approval with the planning condition of the cash contribution. Yeah. And the condition attached to it, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a seconder? Yes, Michi. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, have a good evening.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Number 38, 100 McClellan Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a new detached garage in the rear yard. Adam?
Through you, Mr. Chair, on this application, we have a copy of the survey and plans, as well as confirmation from the zoning examiner clarifying which lot line they referred to in their report. And we have 4 letters of support from 92 McClellan Avenue, 75 Garfield, 218 Inglewood Drive, and 74 Mayfield Avenue.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sprague?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, good. Yes, very briefly, what the owners would like to do is to replace a single car garage with a double car garage, and the front wall facing onto McLennan would be at the same location as the existing garage. There are 4 letters of support, and of particular interest there are the neighbors to the immediate neighbors, 218 Inglewood and 74 Garfield on the side. The height restriction the height is really not the actual garage. We've got sort of decorative railing around the outside, but the main bulk of the garage is within the 4 meters. So in my opinion, it's appropriate, and certainly in my opinion, the neighbors are certainly on board as well.
So is this built on the footprint so that the 2.08 meters from the east side is
Yes,
existing?
exactly. That distance stays the same. That's why, yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Do we have a motion? Mishi?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, Peter.
Yeah, I think the applicant described well that these are minor variances and existing conditions, and then the height is just really a tiny little bit above what's permitted. So I think these are minor in nature, and I move to approve the application without conditions.
Right. We have a seconder. Mishi, thank you.
I agree with Peter. Yep.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, and you can take the rest of the afternoon off.
Thanks, Dad. So we adjourn at 5:45. That's not bad.
Thanks, Don. Not bad.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thanks. Nice to meet you guys too.
Really nice.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you, Mr. Chair.
enjoyable.
Thanks,
Thank
Peter.
you.
Thanks, Sam.
Don, I miss
Bye,
you.
Don.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Nice,
guys.
yeah. Bye, Mishi. Nice working with all of you.
Yep, you too. Bye, guys.